Tom Emmer is chairman of the National Republican Congressional Committee. He's a Minnesota congressman, Tom Emmer. He appeared on CBS News and was asked about the vitriol. He was asked about the violence that comes from the Republican Party.
I want to ask you about this when it comes to political violence. On your Twitter feed, you posted this video we're going to show just a few days ago where you're firing a gun and it says, "Enjoyed exercising my Second Amendment rights, #fire Pelosi." Why is there a gun in a political ad at all?
It wasn't an ad.
I was
tweeting out something that I just
#fire
done.
Pelosi with a weapon.
Well, now
wouldn't a pink slip be more fitting if it's about firing her?
It's interesting, Margaret.
Why a gun?
It's interesting, Margaret, that we're talking about this morning when a couple of years back, when a Bernie Sanders supporter shot Steve Scalise.
Which was horrendous
when a Bernie
and
Sanders
horrific,
supporter
which is
shot
why we
Steve
should be
Scalise,
not
I never heard
putting
you
weapons.
or anyone else in the media trying to blame Democrats for what happened. We need to stay focused on what we're all doing.
We did extensive coverage of what happened to Steve Scalise. There's extensive
Nobody
news coverage,
tried to equate Democrats' rhetoric. People that
I'm not talking about your rhetoric. I'm talking about what you posted. You're shooting a gun. Our viewers just saw it.
Yeah, right.
#fire Pelosi.
Exercising our Second Amendment rights, having
That's
fun.
not a debate about the Second Amendment.
Yeah.
That's not a debate about the Second Amendment. #fire Pelosi.
Yes, it is. I'm
Do you
running
not
the campaign
understand that
operation
is
for the
suggestive to people who are in a bad state and in this current environment, how risky it is? As you're talking about the importance of lowering the rhetoric.
I disagree with you.
Why do you leave that up?
Again, I never saw anyone after Steve Scalise was shot by a Bernie Sanders supporter
now,
trying to equate Democrat rhetoric with those actions. Please don't do that.
Okay.
So that's real journalism, right? I mean, we attack mainstream media, but that's CBS and NBC. They have real reporters over there. And that was the talking point. That's the talking point. The day Pelosi was hammered over the head, the talking point went out. Bring up the shooting of Steve Scalise. He was shot by a Bernie supporter on June 14th, 2017. Congressman Steve Scalise, Republican from Louisiana. He's the GOP House Whip. He almost bled to death after a mass shooter fired 100 rounds into lawmakers practicing for a charity baseball game. Again, this is the talking point that went out. Bring up Steve Scalise. Listen to Congressman Tom Emmer once again spewing the talking point.
It's interesting, Margaret. It's interesting, Margaret, that we're talking about this morning when a couple of years back, when a Bernie Sanders supporter shot Steve Scalise.
Which was horrendous
when a Bernie Sanders supporter shot Steve Scalise. I never heard you or anyone else in the media trying to blame Democrats for what happened.
Yes, that's the talking point. Congressman James Comer is a Republican representing Kentucky's 1st Congressional District, and he too is repeating the talking point, which is a false equivalency between the attack on Paul Pelosi and the shooting of Steve Scalise. Here is Congressman James Comer doing what he was instructed to do, repeat the talking point.
The intense rhetoric that really leads to, feed into these people who are deranged and create violence. It's the same thing that happened with the shooter that shot at Steve Scalise and several of the Republican colleagues. Violence is wrong.
Right. And is there any other example of Democratic rhetoric leading to violence? No. And it wasn't Bernie's rhetoric that led to that shooting. He just happened to be crazy, and he shot up a ballpark. It's a false equivalency. Bernie never stoked violence by spreading lies about the Republican Party. He didn't call Steve Scalise Satan. I might have, but Bernie didn't. He never spread fictions that Scalise steals elections, runs a child trafficking ring. But most importantly, when Steve Scalise was shot back in 2017, Bernie immediately took to the floor of the Senate and he condemned the shooting.
The alleged shooter at the Republican baseball practice this morning is someone who apparently volunteered on my presidential campaign. I am sickened by this despicable act, and let me be as clear as I can be. Violence of any kind is unacceptable in our society, and I condemn this action in the strongest possible terms. Real change can only come about through nonviolent action, and anything else runs counter to our most deeply held American values. I know I speak for the entire country in saying that my hopes and prayers are that Representative Scalise, congressional staff, and the Capitol police officers who were wounded make a quick and full recovery. I also want to thank the Capitol Police for their heroic actions to prevent further harm.
That would be Bernie Sanders disowning the shooter. You don't hear the Republicans disowning the people who stormed the Capitol on January 6th. They trivialize it. And most importantly, they're not willing to do anything about it. Bernie Sanders, after that attack in 2017, came out for an assault weapons ban, came out for gun control, wanted the mentally ill to be red flagged, to make it harder for them to buy guns. So that talking point is just horseshit.
Do you not understand that that is